After Megaforce had fell to pieces, I really didn't have hope. How did they make something worse than Overdrive and Mystic Force, seasons at the show's worst? I had no more to give, basically. But after this foul, Saban changed it up. First, they skipped over a Super Sentai season, which was Go Busters. I didn't get why they did it, but it was ironic. They picked the season that used things from Power Rangers and skipped it. Sentai has referenced PR before, but in small bits. Time Ranger had a monster called the G-Zord. They even used the SPD Battleizer. But it was really obvious why they skipped it, because Karuger was a dinosaur season. Even Sentai is guilty of this. When Ryusoulger brought back dinosaurs under the 10-year rotation they established with Ranger, Abba Ranger, and Karuger. Now, I was a big fan of Karuger. I had bought virtually everything from the season, even things like the belts. I tried to get as many batteries they made. I was also thinking about Ranger Review. It got very difficult to keep going. It came down to viewership. Ultimately, I'm responsible for things succeeding or failing. I came up with so many video ideas, but they just kept failing. Either the concept was too niche, like Ranger Fix, that was to help people repair their PR items. If it had continued, it would have gone to a full repair-on show. I would be finding replacement parts, buying broken items to fix, or ways to solve common issues. I probably would have gone into 3D printing too. But either I did a bad job at hosting, or toy repairs is just too small. It went nowhere. I did actually try again, work with all kinds of toys. That didn't work either. I tried reviewing Kamen Rider toys. There was no interest. After all these failed ideas, I was basically burnt out. So Karuger and Dino Charge was my last go. There's other factors involved in all this, but this was the primary issue. So my mind was set. Get Karuger stuff. So when PR got to it, it would make doing videos faster. Maybe that's what will help the channel. Just make them faster. I was hoping, like the producers, dinosaurs will help boost PR back out. Looking back at this, it was the beginning of Ranger Review dying. And it was also the last time I was really into Sentai. I loved Karuger, but it still had issues. King got way too focused on, and they had too many goddamn Rangers. So Dino Charge had solid groundwork. February finally came, and they didn't say their names in the opening theme song. Okay, I'm a little annoyed when they said Go Go Power Rangers, but we have a new theme. That's a start. I didn't know anything about the actors. I usually didn't like reading up on them. I like to keep it a surprise. So I didn't know Yoshi Sudarso was a Sentai fan. I didn't know almost anything of the plot except for the basic stuff from the source footage. The introduction of the Energems, Keeper, and Sledge, I'm nodding my head. Yeah, this works. It explains how the dinosaurs went extinct. It doesn't butt into past PR seasons. I got through the whole first episode, but I had to think, is it good because it's good, or am I just hyped for a new season? Remember how I was totally fine with Megaforce's pilot? I didn't want to repeat that. I looked at the episode and went, why did this feel better? First, they focus on some of the characters. They didn't force all 5 Rangers into the first episode. Tyler's arc, I get how they're going to use King's footage. Shelby, a little lacking, but it's just the first episode. We're not going to know everything about everyone. Miss Morgan, Dr. K vibes. They get involved with the powers by mistake. They become Rangers. Simple, solid first episode. Coda, Riley, Chase, Keeper all get introduced in the next one. I was kind of weirded out that they removed the emotion aspect of the villains. I was wondering how they would do it, but they decided to cut them, so they'll have to get around footage. Is it going to make it weird? I wasn't sure about it. But then a positive happened. They cared to digitally fix the batteries. You don't know how pissed off I was when they left the Gosager cards as is. They even fixed the mistake after the episode aired. There was one episode later on that they missed a single shot of Red's charger and fixed it. I was like, are we caring about the show finally? I'm nervous. I don't want to be hopeful and then get screwed again. But by episode 4, Coda's episode, okay, they care. I'll let my guard down. And the season kept getting better. Dino Charge Season 1 is the only Saban brand season to not suck. You had a cast I liked all the way through. There was good character building. One issue, Keeper and Kendall are split on the mentor role. That was kind of annoying. Keeper was getting bad screen time because of that. Let's look at past mentors. Zordon. He was always at the Ranger side. He gave them basic information on what a monster could do, warned them about threats forming, even helped them in their personal lives. Captain Mitchell. He mentored the entire team and even saved his son's life. Sensei. He had to guide his students from falling off the path of the ninja, plus deal with his mistakes towards his son. Tommy. Someone you didn't expect would work as a mentor, but his years as a ranger plus him becoming a teacher fit well for his own personal arc. Kruger, probably one of the best mentors, not only a part of the team like Tommy, he's an excellent leader of the organization. He's trained and dealt with probably thousands of officers. Dr. K, the most focal mentor since she is part of the story, and they gave her a background PR doesn't do normally. But Keeper, compared to his seniors, he just comes in to just check if you're alive. Maybe in season 2, once everyone is established, they'll fix him. We'll get focus episodes. He'll probably end up being a ranger.
You serious?
So the earlier episode worries are out of the way. The lingering problem is 10 rangers. Huge teams do not work. The math can't math. Choruger has 50 episodes. There's 10 rangers. If you gave everyone 5 episodes, all 50 episodes get used up. So that can't happen. You have villains to work with, mechs to get introduced, power-ups, a mid-arc, and a final arc. The Red Ranger will always get the most focus. It's just not possible to give 10 Rangers justice. They could do it if they gave them 100 episodes, but that would cause loads of other problems. So it's best to never have large teams unless you intend to kill half of them off, live man style. Dino Charge has only 40 episodes, 4 of which are clip shows and no movie. They're in a worse spot, and it really hurt, because we did get introduced to some of the next Rangers in Season 1, Kendall and Phillips specifically. They ended Season 1 very solid. The whole season was building up to Kendall becoming a Ranger. Phillips' build was also good. The only way this would have worked is if the 2 seasons had the teams rotate where the original 6 had left, cut them off, so that Kendall and the others had to take over for the next season. Obviously, that's impossible. There was no way around Choruger footage, and it didn't help that Tyler's dad plotline was crap. So many logical problems. You had an actor who couldn't do an American accent, on top of him doing almost nothing, which is the second biggest fail of the whole show. The start of season 2 wasn't bad. We were introduced to Snide replacing Sledge. He was fine. I was guessing they needed to save some money, maybe because they needed to pay for the larger cast. So I thought, oh, they'll use Dayboss. That went out the door after a few episodes when Snide's secret got exposed in like 2 episodes. I was pissed. You did all this for 2 episodes? But then Snide/Heckle just turned into Sledge. What was the point? Nothing really changed. I actually stopped watching season 2 before we got to Coda's baseball episode. Why are you doing filler episodes when you don't have time for this? I did come back a little bit before the finale, so I saw the build-up and when Sledge came back. But then the goddamn finale happened. The Energems creating a Stargate and Earth being swallowed up, all good ideas. It's the way they misused time travel completely derailed the season. If you want to see my feelings on the last episode, I've done many videos on it. Season 2 destroyed all the goodwill. They fumbled the ball in the end zone. How can you have Kendall morph, then just have her sit down in ops? And I was already in a bad place with Ranger Review. It was a 1-2 punch. I just lost my motivation. It wasn't just the series going bad, it was burnout. Watching Sentai, watching PR, and doing all these videos, everywhere I went, I thought about PR, and everything just died when Dino Charge's finale came out. The last Sentai item I bought was Shuriken Jin. Ninja was running with Dino Charge, and that was bad too. I'm done, that's it. The final RR episode was Kurujin Black. Once I finished that, and Ninja, I stopped watching Sentai on a regular basis. Obviously, I've seen the later ones since, but I ended up being 3 years behind. It didn't matter to me anymore. While I ended toy reviews, rants had continued, and then I came up with top 10s to replace its spot. Now, I'm already pissed off when Ninja Steel started. It was already in a bad spot with Ninja being a mess. I don't even feel like talking about it. I haven't seen it since it aired. Steel has a small chance at being better. They could pull a Ninja Storm, or they can pull a Wild Force. It came out, and I complained about the first episode. The Galaxy stuff, unique. Reusing suits? I don't care about that. Henderson's playing the mentor role? Fine. Good. The world itself is a mess. Why do they think dumbing down the property would work? Power Rangers does moral messages all the time. I've watched over 20 years of this stuff, but you're treating kids like idiots. Power Rangers has made many episodes featuring more deeper subjects, but they handled them a lot better than what Ninja Steel did. I know MMPR has been preachy before. Cleanup in the Park scene is an example of it being very preachy, but that's season 1. We should be way past that in-your-face writing. But this isn't the main problem. What really turned me off was treating the show as a cartoon. When they were coming up with the characters, clearly they used MMPR as a blueprint, but didn't put logical limits on them. They saw Bulk and Skull acting like the Three Stooges, so they thought, let's allow Victor and Monty to do things that physically are unsurvivable. You think that's a good idea? Then you have Sarah breaking the universe all the time. She's just like Billy. He did amazing stuff. Yeah, he did, but he did it mostly in secret. That's the difference. Billy's been saving the day and inventing crazy inventions, from the body switching machine to the rad bug, but 99% of the time his inventions were never shown publicly. In a few instances, PR did do episodes that showed Billy stuff, or there was some crazy invention shown in the public. Two examples I can think of on top of my head: Trini's Uncle Invisibility Formula and Billy's Holo Generator. I complained about those things too back then. But Sarah did it over and over. It was in your face, from her hoverboard to her cookie making machine. She should be a billionaire, but it's not treated as such. This happened with other characters. Preston, he did real magic in front of people and no one cared. We had an entire season all about magic and them hiding it a decade ago. How are we making Mystic Force look like Einstein? Then you have Redbot. Oh my god, Redbot, the most useless character in existence, and giving him 2 of the worst episodes in Power Rangers history. Not season, history. It's more easier to point out what wasn't stupid in Ninja Steel. Why did they have those cool alternate ninja suits but barely used them? What was with Dane Romero leaving after he was rescued? I understand you didn't have footage, but why wasn't he the second mentor in season 2? Mick belonged in the 90s with his moral messages, and Levi, the guy who became famous, re-enters high school, and with few exceptions, no one cares he's there. Why invent backgrounds of these characters like this when you're not going to care about them seriously? Clearly, the only thing you guys can do is just have the Rangers be at the school, then don't have them do anything fantastical in front of people. Treat the school and treat their Ranger lives separate. Something's telling me the writers were trying to listen to fan feedback. If I'm right, plus for them doing that, one of my major complaints from Megaforce is that the school was worthless, except now they went to the other side of extremes. Another thing that really stuck out, Steel felt the worst out of all the season split problems. Like, the toy line had nothing. Nothing really changed in the show besides Madame Woe taking over, which is just a repeat of Dino Charge's snide. The only positive thing I can say about Steel was the anniversary episode. Bar the common problems with team-ups, I thought it was better than Once a Ranger, but that's as far as I go as praising Steel. I've noticed it gets ignored. I even forgotten about it when listing seasons. I will go from Dino Charge to Beast Morphers, then remember Ninja Steel happened before it. I think that's the worst thing you could do to a show. Now, next up is the 2017 Power Rangers movie. Between the 2 seasons of Ninja Steel, Saban was going to try to bring Power Rangers back to the big screen. I did do a video on the movie, so I don't want to repeat myself again, but Power Rangers hasn't really been a success in film. Most of them had some sort of problems. The first was the original cast quitting, so you had the new trio be a part of the movie. The introduction of the season 3 Zords, which had to be retcons since they couldn't use things from the film, and the Turbo movie shouldn't have been done, but at least it's in continuity with the show. Now with the 2017 film, it's a remake of MMPR, but setting it in modern day and changing all the characters. The only things I liked from the movie was Rita and Zordon. Everything else just felt wrong, and you only have a 2-minute Ranger fight? How can you guys not think that was bad? With Ninja Steel failing and the movie not doing good, it was the end of Saban brands. I didn't even care. This wasn't the Saban that launched the show. For 8 years, they tried crawling back to their heyday. But you can't just copy your homework. The 90s does not work anymore, and you didn't have the people who accomplished that. Yeah, you brought back one guy, Jonathan Zakor, but you didn't care to bring back writers like Tony Oliver, Jackie Marchand, Stuart St. John, Shuki Levy, Chip Lynn. You have to bring as many people back as possible, even get some of the Disney season writers, so you have people who wrote for the show through the decades with some of the original writers, then they could work together to make it fit in the 2010s. Imagine if Super Megaforce was handled right, where we got guests through the season, but they also brought a guest writer back. Say they had gotten Kimberly to return for the MMPR cast. Tony, Chip, Jackie, or Stuart could have written the episode. That's where you could make it feel the 90s. But no, I wasn't even shocked when I heard Saban was selling the series. When we first heard rumblings, Hasbro initially was just gonna buy the toy rights. I didn't care either about that. Bandai America had fallen apart when they came back with Samurai. Even though I knew this was going to cause a problem for Sentai, now they no longer get the cut of the toy profits. But Hasbro ended up buying the entire franchise. I said good riddance. At this point, I didn't know Hasbro well enough. I didn't buy Transformer toys for years. We're talking the last time was Beast Wars Season 3. I did get a few things like from Transformers Prime, but that was the Takara versions. I didn't know how cheap Hasbro got. I was more thinking about the TV show side. I was like, well, they did good with Transformers Prime. That gave me some hope, and that's when the Beast Morphers news popped in. They're going back to the skip season.
Wait a minute!
So Saban skipped Go Busters because it didn't look Power Rangers. Now we're going back to it because it didn't look Power Rangers. I love companies. Okay, for Beast Morphers, they did do changes. For one, they had gotten a new composer. Noam Kanil worked from Samurai to Dino Charge alone. His work isn't bad, but he has no range. Everything sounds very samey, very stock. And the editors had gotten so lazy they reused music from Megaforce and Dino Charge in steel. Then was joined by Yosef Guezoum, I'm butchering that, I know that, starting with Ninja Steel, but it was still bad. Music is very important for this show. Kanil is good for the key music like a battle or a Zord fight, but he was bad with Zord combining moments or when they unlocked a new power. That needs really cool, epic music. Picture the scene from Mystic Force when they unlock their legend mode. That was an epic music cue.
We call forth the power of light magic! Mystic Force Legend Warriors!
But when it comes to anything from Saban and up, anytime there's an epic moment, the music, it doesn't do anything for it. The style of Beast Morphers changed compared from previous seasons. In the earlier episodes, they spent the money to do real-time morphs. They were doing it because the suits made you think the show was more of a bar fight where things just happen instead of guys gearing up in spandex. The cast was smaller, which helped a lot. I actually liked when they started off with 3 Rangers and then did different teams that reached 6 or so Rangers. The villains were also pretty good, and I'm not saying that because Evox ended up being the Vengeance virus. The original villains for Go Busters I didn't like. It wasn't because of the actors or the characters, they just felt weak. BM added a few new characters along with using both head generals at the start, but that decision did cause problems for Season 2. The premise was still overall good. Devin and the others are solid characters. Each one of them had good arcs. Devin's story was my favorite. I liked that he had to hide the fact he was a Power Ranger. We didn't have Rangers hide from family members for a while now. The idea of using the morphing grid as a power source, that's a cool idea. I personally wish they had showed some negative effects from doing that, but still liked what they did. The Beast Bots, I was scared they were going to be annoying with what happened with Redbot. Luckily, they were fine, and I was happy that Steel and Nate had an original arc, ignoring what Go Busters did. It meandered way too long, and the conclusion was just lame because it was just like, can we just get to that point? I know people have different opinions on Ben and Betty, but they were much better than Victor and Monty. Now, it's not all fun and roses with Beast Morphers. Season 2 did drop the ball in places. because they decided to bring in both generals for season 1. Season 2 got screwed over. Roxy's character was in the second half, and they used all the footage they could. And then they wasted Blaze and Roxy once they were free of control. You couldn't have had Blaze and Devin share the powers, like have an episode where he's stuck with his dad, so they call on Blaze to take the suit for that episode. Use them as backups. Pay off their story, but they didn't care. The team up with Dino Charge and MMPR was fine. It sucked that they couldn't get anyone from Dino Thunder. The only episode I fully hated from season 2 was the clip show. It's because they had to redub all the scenes. I was like, really? You guys couldn't find any isolated voice track versions of those episodes? Then again, we are talking about Saban, where they threw out the original broadcast of Time Force. The big reveal of Evox being Venchix was good. I was more shocked that we got payoff, because when does PR ever care to bring back something from the past that's over 10 years old? It's funny. Dr. K's cameo in Beast Morphers was better than most team-ups since Samurai, because it cared about finishing her story and wrapped it into Nate's story. Hey, look, there's Rocky. He finally made it into a team-up, but doesn't really do anything though. I'm taking K over Rocky. The ending for Beast Morphers, it's okay. I'm not going to say it's the most amazing finale ever just because we had 8 years of stinkers. I didn't have a problem with Steel's Pinocchio moment, but you do have to be very careful with the morphing grid. You can't make it do OP things, or you're going to make people start asking questions, which Dino and Cosmic Fury did. Overall feelings of Beast Morphers compared to everything except Dino Charge Season 1, I was satisfied with its conclusion. It was a good end note for Chipland, and it's a good place to end this video. Dino and Cosmic Fury are the last hurrah of the franchise. I think it's best to focus on them alone. Thanks to everyone who's found my journey through PR interesting. If you want more in-depth discussions on the seasons, you can check out my various top 10 videos. I cover a lot of my gripes with the seasons there, and if you have a suggestion or a topic you'd like me to do, leave a comment below, and I may use it. Archer out.